Good morning. Since I made a video, You used to be my best friend. Where I make videos all the time. Sometimes I'd make 10 videos a day because I'd be showing you all the projects I was doing, and one video didn't cover it. Can you imagine? All those years of videos are on there. It's kind of hard to see them now unless you know what you're looking for, but you know, um, I tried to label them and tag them so that if you knew one word or a few words, that should get you in there, because I had playlists made with each of those words, like clouds and trees and, nature. And I mean, they're overlapping playlists, right? But everything was in there. Anyway, but that's not what this is about, is it? No, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, what is she talking about? Unless you know me, and then you understand completely. For the new people, because they really haven't a clue what I'm all about. Somebody said yesterday, a comment, that why would you make a video about something that you don't really know everything about or don't know much about? Well, I'm exploring, I'm learning my land. You know what? These little Christmas trees are becoming havens for the birds. Look at that, a song sparrow. Perhaps they'll have a nest in one of those trees on the ground. Well, he's after somebody else. Or maybe it's another one of his species. You know what happened here a minute ago? I looked up on that branch, and there was um, a female common merganser. It's a big white duck with a red head. Or big, I guess she's gray. I saw white and I saw the rust brown, and it was a duck. It was a huge duck. It was right there. It was like a foot and a half long. It was enormous. Of course, it is only 3 degrees today, so he may have puffed out his feathers, but he can't really make himself longer, can he? Anyway, this isn't what this is about. This is about whatever it's about, but it's not named this, so it might confuse people. But we've already gone over this. So, I've been making these huge garden beds. Remember Everfar Labyrinth? Everfar? Everfar Labyrinth. I took a circular area at the bottom of this hill, and I dug up the grass and I planted thyme. I had to really scrounge for thyme. I had to drive pretty far, but there are villages around that have a lot of thyme. Anyway, so now I have tons of thyme. We also planted it at Mira, and so it's spread. It's taken over the entire garden, or the entire lawn. So it's a really wonderful place if you need to get some thyme. Just don't leave holes. Are you still there? Or is the phone gone down? Anyway, so when Scarlett moved back here, she immediately had us construct 20 garden beds, which are on the other side. She wouldn't have a place to garden, so I went over and we built 20 more for her. So she can now do the Hugelkultur. She's been doing this for years, 14 years, I guess. And it's a way of gardening where it does a few good things. One, the logs that are on the forest floor decompose, releasing carbon. And I don't know if you know about it, but Canada is already 2.5 degrees warmer. I mean, there's people out there that say that climate change isn't happening, well, whatever, but it's 2.5 degrees warmer in Canada. Greenland is melting. They're gardening there. Imagine market gardening. And the methane is starting to be released. So, or maybe it's not, I think it's in little bits starting, but once that Once that ice shield goes, that methane is gonna, everything's gonna heat up. So I thought I would do my part. Like, I know that my part is almost nothing, but and it's too late anyway. There's not really much I can do, especially when China is got all that stuff going up in the air and other places like that. But I can do something. So one of the problems is the deforestation of the planet. And places are getting hotter, deserts are getting bigger. And in a place where there's nothing put down and the soil doesn't grow, it erodes because of wind and the rain and whatever. But so this area, hardly anything will grow on it, on Everfar Labyrinth. That's why I grew thyme. I grew thyme there, and some of it did very well, but it too died. It got too hot because it's all sand. These are sand, mountains of sand left by the glaciers, and the highlands are all have big rocks all over them. Very interesting land. Anyway, it's an esker. But so this big area, I wanted to do my part in combating deforestation. So what if I could create a garden there? Like, there's nothing there. It's sand under, maybe this much something darker than sand. And the grass barely grows, but the grass does grow, but not that well. And remember I bought tons of daylilies one year. And I went around there and I planted all those daylilies in my labyrinth, right? I had a labyrinth going around. You go in and you go around and you go up and around and back and around and in and around. Anyway, and then you get to the middle and stuff like that. Anyway, so I thought that I would maintain that circular pattern. I'll have to dig some of the beds down in. This would be my labyrinth in the winter. I always came out here and I loved walking it and labyrinthing, walking around and creating the labyrinth. Anyway, so I need more garden space because as it heats up, the things available from the tropics right now, they'll maybe be available from somewhere north of the tropics, but I think that it's important, first of all, it's important to know the plants that grow on the land. For instance, fiddleheads, they're happening right now. There's ostrich ferns, and when they stick out of the ground, they're just a little bump, and it's all curled up like the head of a fiddle, which is why a fiddle may be called a fiddlehead, a fiddle. Anyway, it's a curl like that. Actually, it's a curl like that. And it opens out into this big fern. Anyway, we harvested 2 gallons of them a couple days ago. So I think we've harvested maybe 3 gallons. So Willem is, he's dehydrating them, and do you realize that fiddleheads, I mean, they're already blanched and dried. They make really nice chips. Can you imagine? Fiddlehead chips. Anyway, and no, I don't plan to sell them. Anyway, the point is to live off the land, that the land gives us so much nettles. Nettles are very good for us. Anyway, so I try and harvest those things. But if I could create a garden here that would not only take away all the big logs that are around, and I could create these great garden beds, which will, by using, you put on the bottom logs. Wet old logs would be best because they act as the sponge, which keeps the water in your garden beds. Now that seems to me to be the crux of the matter, which nobody happened to mention to me. I thought, creating soil? We have tons of soil. Down there at the moat, that black soil just goes on forever. Why would I build beds and take different items, even purchased items, and create soil when I've got soil. Well, the reason to do that is because then I have a garden right here outside of the door. And two, I am combating the deforestation. I'm going to plant a few trees in some of these beds. So I'll put them on the north side so that they will, in effect, give shade to the yard, but not be on the septic and not shade the garden. I think it's a perfect idea. I'm very pleased with my idea. So it's so to have a garden nearby, to clean up all of the decomposing logs out there, which are releasing their carbon. To have an art installation that's sort of a circular pattern, and to create a space like with the table and chairs in the center. So now, the way you do Hugelkultur, which I don't know anything about except what Scarlett has taught me, which is enough to be able to layer the beds, okay? So you start with big stuff. Logs, branches, even lumber. Don't use painted stuff or treated stuff. And then you step that down as much as you can, and then you fill it in with stuff from the ground. Oh, look, the children here. It's not gone. It's over there, and there's a new window for it. A door to get on. This is the children. Go to the corner and go on the trampoline. Stay on the deck. Stay on the deck and go to the clothesline corner and go through the hole and climb out onto the trampoline. Isn't that cool? What do you think? Can you see them from there? I know the sun is out. It's kind of strong right here. It's raining for days. Look at that blue sky. Okay, so big stuff on the bottom. Then you fill it in with anything small. Anything small like soil or, yes, those are my grandbabies, Desmond and Maya. Hi, Maya! Did you like that? You're downstairs now. I see that. Have you got boots on? The grass is wet. Hello. You're running in the labyrinth. It is wet. You can see all the little drops of water. They're on the leaves. That's so the birds can have a drink of water, and so the chipmunks can come get a drink.
You start on the deck, and this time you go over here, and then you go through the hole that Grandma cut out it, and you're on the trampoline. Wow.
And tell her about the running garden. So we're not getting very far, but we're going to go through this, if you can bear with me. So big stuff. If you can find rotting logs or big old logs, that would be perfect because those act as the sponges which will hold the water. Anyway, you pack that all in as tightly as you can. Then you cover it with like stuff from the ground, like broken sticks and leaves and whatever you can. Maybe not so much leaves because they'll get stuck and they won't go down in. But if you can get, you can even use dirt, you know, but pack it in there tightly to hold that moisture in those logs. Water it. Okay, then you move up and you get that really packed, step on it, walk back and forth on it, pack it. Then you put a big piece of cardboard on. Now the cardboard acts as the worms will come up through the layers, and they'll go through the cardboard here, and then there'll be another layer of cardboard further up. They'll come up and down, and something about the cardboard, they like the cardboard. Anyway, so put down cardboard, preferably not with paint on it or ink, toxic inks. There can be toxic. You don't want that in your garden. Anyway, cardboard. And then you fill it up with whatever's next. What have you got? Scarlett has a pile of straw that's decomposed. It was 100 bales bought for the purpose of this sort of stuff, getting rotted straw. Now, I could go buy some. You can probably buy a load of it for $10 or $20, maybe. Maybe you have to pay for each bale, $3 a bale. No. Anyway, so also over there, you see that invasive grass that's over there? I call it mop grass, and it hangs like this. These are silver, and this petal thing is straight. It hangs like silver, and they kind of bob like little dowitchers in the water. Dowitchers, is that the word? There goes Maya on the trampoline. How fun to have a hole to climb through out of the deck to get on your own trampoline. And they're in a different place too, so now they're looking down at their play structure. Look at her climbing out. Isn't that the cutest thing ever? Do you like that? You like climbing through the hole? Close the door. Anyway, you got your big stuff, you got your cardboard, soak it. And your straw. Or, like I was just saying, you can use leaf clippings, or there's many things. You'll think of many things. Wood chips. I'm not sure about sawdust, but everything turns into sawdust, so I don't know. Anyway, so you fill that layer up, and you step on it, step on it, step on it, and then you put in manure. Manure, and now you can also be adding the rakings. You can put in leaves, lots of leaves, and you could put in horse manure or some rotted manure and make a good layer of that, and then pack it to the edges. Pack it in good and tight so that there's no cracks around the edges where the moisture's gonna be easily drying out. They love this hole in the deck. This is so cute. Anyway, the two deer, I saw them. They came across the field here, and then they went up there and they walked across the fence and started eating one of them started eating the lilacs. Yes, now you're asking what about the fence, the deer. Well, we'll do that next. They were eating that, and I was showing the children, and they, of course, immediately wanted to go out and scare them away. So they got on the trampoline, and they started jumping up and down and screaming and screaming. And these two deer just stood and watched them. It's like, what the heck is going on over? What are those children doing? It was very funny. Anyway, so we don't have a very good connection at the moment. Maybe we've never had a good connection. Maybe this whole thing has been just said to the air. Oh, no, you're not back yet. Oh, not back yet. Oh, you're back. Hello, hello. So here's the Hugelkultur idea. So you were gone for a long time. You were. So you're back. Okay, so I've been. So I take uprights, and these so far these have been either 33 inches or 30 inches, and then I take these. I'm using some slab. It's called paper thin. If you go to a sawmill, so some of them are very thin. These are getting down to the thinnest stuff because I've been using the thicker stuff. See, this has all been cut off. So I try and put something thick at the bottom. These are not thick anymore. And work my way up. Anyway, and then I take the